Here's my conversation with Zach Wilson on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. All right, Zach, let's continue to get to know you a little bit better. Your middle name's Kapono. Your dad has some Polynesian heritage and grew up in Hawaii, right?
Yeah. We have been eating spam, eggs, and rice since day one. So,
what has that meant to you to have kind of a multicultural house and get to know that side of it? Because I think some people last year when you were on the Polynesian watch list were like, Zach Wilson's Polynesian.
yeah, exactly. I don't look like it. My dad was born and raised there, and we still got my grandma back there, and we visit all the time, especially on my aunt, my dad's sister's side of the family. They're all about the Hawaiian heritage, and we are too, but it doesn't look like it. But we've grown up and loved the Hawaiian lifestyle and being a part of that whole thing. So that's cool. It's cool. It's been a great part of our family, and everyone in our family has Hawaiian middle names, which is cool.
Yours is Kapono. Does that have a meaning? Is that named after somebody?
Yeah, it means righteous. I'm not sure where it came from, but I know it means righteous. I'm not sure where my parents came up with it, but it's a cool one.
Yeah, that is cool. I like that. Okay, what's the last week been like for you as we get closer to the NFL draft?
Yeah, this last week, we've been training, starting to talk about plans for May, June, and July. What April is going to be like. I'm heading back next week, Tuesday. I'm going to be training, with Stroh-Formans most likely up until, pro day, after pro day, all of April, up until the draft. I'll be in Utah working with those guys, throwing some of my guys out there, maybe making a couple of trips back out here. And we'll have a good little maybe golfing trip and then fishing trip with Michael Pittman for his YouTube channel eventually. So that'll be fun.
So I think he's on the Colts, right? And he played at USC, and BYU beat USC in 2019. So I imagine that game gets brought up with him.
Yeah, no doubt. But he was, the way he approached it is just it's kind of messed up. He told me he was like, oh yeah, like, going into that game, we didn't even care. Like, it was like we were looking for the next opponent next week. Like, it was just like, like BYU, like whatever. Like, that sucks, because we ended up beating you guys. So it kind of backfired. You guys approached the game that way.
That's a classic Power 5 tale, Zach. Like, so such and such team lost this big bowl game. Well, we wanted to play in the playoff, and we didn't. And that's garbage. You lost the game. Come on, man. And that was a great game, the USC game. Is that among the games that you cherish the most? Because that was a packed house and Skycam and ABC and then, like, overtime. That's got to be one of the better wins BYU's had the last couple of years. Where does that fit for your favorite wins?
Yeah, definitely a top two, I would say. That was fun. I would say we had the USC Tennessee wins that year just because of the, I'd say the atmosphere, the fans, everyone being there was so cool to upset those guys, especially at home. Not many guys can say they beat USC, so it was a lot of fun.
Can you still believe you guys beat Tennessee? Because when I go back and I watch you release the pass and there's like 11 seconds left and you're standing at like the 19-yard line, I thought, this is a miracle, literally a miracle that BYU pulled this out.
Yeah, no doubt. Like we definitely should have lost that game. Like, really going back, Tennessee really screwed that one up. We did a great job there at the end, but that was really on them. And they screwed that one up.
Yeah, in front of that massive crowd in the stadium and the checkered, end zone, it was awesome. Okay, Chris Sims is a big fan of yours. I don't know if you saw this. I imagine you did. Did you?
I mean, I get tagged in a lot of stuff, so.
So Chris Sims is on the Zach Wilson hype train. He said, you're the best prospect. He really broke you down effectively. I thought he was very interesting with it. He even broke you down physically, what he liked. And he also said there's a little bit of space between you and Trevor Lawrence, which was somewhat surprising because everyone kind of looks at Trevor 1, and then there's battle for number 2, and your name's clearly in there with Justin Fields and everybody else. So what did you think of that as the pendulum swings for some to, hey, Zach's the number 1 pick?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Everybody has their own outlooks, and there's some takes where I'm the 6th best quarterback, or the 5th, and then the 2nd, and then the 1st. Everyone's got their own opinion. It really only comes down to the team that's drafting. It really comes down to what they think, and we really won't know what that is until the draft comes. And so, everyone can say whatever they want. Everyone's great. Every quarterback's great in their own way. And depends what that team is looking for. So it's cool to, maybe see some of that stuff here and there, but you really don't buy into it much because, really the team that's picking is the only one that matters. So we'll see come draft day.
That's true. It just takes one to really love you, right? Do you want to be the number one pick? Do you care?
I mean, yeah, of course, right? I mean, who doesn't, want to be the number one pick, to be able to say that you were the number one overall pick in a draft, that's a dream come true. That's more than a dream come true for a lot of people. Most people just, want a chance to get drafted. To be the number one is something special. So, that's obviously a goal, but, it's going to be a tough one to achieve.
What are some of the skills or attributes that you feel like you bring to the table, whether it be the film that you have, the things that you can do, or the things mentally, that can combat the bias against non-Power 5 quarterbacks?
Yeah, I feel like, when you watch my game, the ability to make plays outside the pocket and, create something out of nothing. I feel like I have a knack for being able to, think outside the box, make throws that guys aren't expecting. I used to tell my receivers in practice, hey, you are a runoff on this route. We're technically not supposed to look at you on this route, but be ready. I could throw it to you. You never know. So there's little things here and there. And I would say the Power 5 competition, I think, Chris Sims actually hit it right on the head is, the talent that we're playing with is the same as the talent we're playing against. It goes the same way as Alabama and the guys that those guys are surrounded by, the receivers, the defense, O-linemen that they have. So I think it really just levels itself out. I really don't think competition matters in that aspect because, you're playing against the same competition as you have. And so I think it all works itself out. There's so many successful quarterbacks that have played against bad competition, and there's so many successful quarterbacks that have played against the best competition. So I really don't think it matters.
And that's great because a long time ago, and frankly, even a couple years ago, it was like, okay, if you're not 6'5" and 225, you can't be a whatever. That's not a thing, right? And last week we talked about your weight is discussed. You're not a guy that's 190, even though you might look like it sometimes. You're at 215, 220, and that's where you want to be. So when you look at the opportunity ahead of you and last season, at what point, Zach, were you like, oh, I'm making a lot of these throws and making kind of a leap? And we've talked about how that leap was whoa, bigger than we thought, right? But at what point were you like, oh, all this stuff I've practiced with John and Tom House's guys, it's working?
I mean, that's what's so fun about the game, right? Is you put in so many more hours outside of the actual game than you do in the game. And so when you spend so much time on one thing and then you try and apply it and it actually works, I think that's where it's so exciting. And so, I was able to feel a lot of that. I would go into games and to be honest, sometimes I would look forward to maybe one of my O-linemen getting beat. So I would have to slide left and make an off-balance throw. I kind of looked forward to being able to throw that way rather than just standing in the pocket. And so I just think it makes the game fun when you're able to do that kind of stuff.
Give us a sense of what kind of film study you were able to do with BYU in those 20 hours on your own, and then what you're being taught now in terms of what it's like as an NFL quarterback with film study.
Yeah, it was interesting. When I was in college, I was really watching more of the play rather than, exactly what was going on. There were sometimes I'd be going through it and I'm like, ooh, this play is super cool. This would fit our offense. Maybe I'd screen record it and shoot it over to A-Rod and maybe discuss back and forth with him. But really, I was watching, how these guys did their drops for certain concepts, how they, moved in the pocket, whether it was small movements, big movements, how they were able to, make throws with guys in their face or ball placement or, all that kind of stuff. There's so much that goes into the details of being an NFL quarterback. So I really watched a lot of that stuff. And now working with John and these other QBs, we're diving way more into the scheme, what the defense are doing, being able to pick up disguises, what concepts work against certain plays, how coaches are going to call them, your triangle reads, timing with your footwork, so we're looking more at the schematics of the plays and all that stuff now, when before I was just looking to see how those guys played the game from a reaction standpoint.
Do you love that? Do you love being able to do this as your job right now?
I do, right? I mean, there's not a better job in the world for sure.
I like my job too, although yours is going to pay a little more than mine.
Is it close second?
Yeah, close second. It's very similar. Signing bonus is very similar, depending what division you're in. Let's talk about the influences on your game. You mentioned some of the quarterbacks, but in terms of like a band, like you talk to a band, they're like, oh, we were influenced by this band, and this band. Who are the influences on your game in terms of people?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, someone that I haven't talked to since till this last year, until I got into this whole draft stuff because we had the same agent and stuff. But somebody that had such an effect on my game that didn't even know it was Joe Burrow, and that I'm so in love with their 2019 season, the way that they played the game, the way that they did everything, the connection he had with his receivers, how he was able to take easy things, but then took shots down the field, and he absolutely killed it that year, having 60 touchdowns or whatever it was. He had such an amazing year, and I watched that season so many times and just kept thinking, how can I apply this to my game and the things that he's doing and the way he's smart with the ball, but also aggressive. And so I learned so much from that season of the LSU team that won that national championship. It was awesome.
And it sounds like you've talked to him since then.
Yeah. We've communicated back and forth. I actually was able to reach out to him not that long ago when I was picking an agent, and he had great things to say. And, now we have the same exact agent. So it's cool that we are able to, get on that same level, but then also, him coming out here, and he's going to probably work with 3D QB guys, maybe eventually, maybe not this year, maybe the next, but I'll ask him, hey, what was your schedule like last year with COVID? How are you learning the offense? How was this? How was that? He checked in and asked how training was going. So he's a super cool dude as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And weird to think that you're only like a year behind him in this process, right, of getting into the NFL. We did get a fan question for you this week, which is exciting. Aaron Bagley wants to know, do you have any daily non-negotiable habits that helped you succeed? If so, what are they?
Yeah, waking up early is definitely one that was hard, is putting your phone away. I still struggle with that now, right? But being able to wake up in the morning, a lot of the time I try and leave my phone downstairs when I go to sleep. But waking up and going to bed without a phone and just actually being able to put your head on the pillow and go to sleep and not play on a phone, not watch TV. I feel like that's one of the best habits ever, to just be able to get out of bed in the morning, bright and early. So like naturally I wake up right now at about 6 a.m. Because of our workouts and all that kind of thing that we have going on.
Do you have you said naturally, do you just wake up or do you have an alarm clock?
Well, I set an alarm, right, just in case, but on the weekends and when you're not trying to wake up early, your body will just start to naturally wake you up at around 6 because you created that ability to just start waking up early.
That's a great attribute. I've not met an unsuccessful person, waking up early constantly, so it breeds success. Yeah, I love that. Aaron followed up with this. What advice would you have for someone who wants to master their craft?
Yeah, continuously working it, not always working your strengths, but working your weaknesses. Like, stuff for me was, maybe my footwork and making sure that stuff was all dialed up, or, with shoulder surgery, I struggled in the physical aspects a lot. And I would just say work the things that you're struggling and improve to make the things you're really good at better. Don't just, be comfortable, be able to, go outside the box and work things that you struggle with, and find those things. But really, it's just how many hours of practice that you put in. And then I always ask myself this question is what am I doing that I maybe other people aren't doing? What's different? What's something that I can use to separate myself from other people?
What's one of those things in your mind that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, one of those things, especially when I was in college, was film study. I felt like that was something that, I'm sure other guys were doing, NFL tape and film study, but that was something I definitely took pride in. I made sure that every single day I was watching something. And then I would even, I would watch random things. I would watch, random quarterbacks that maybe struggled in the NFL or struggled in college. And I wanted to know why. I wanted to know why they were struggling. And then I'd watch the best and what the differences were. So I would just watch random things all the time to try and just learn everything, not just always watching the best.
Well, great stuff, Zach. It's been fun to get to know you each week. We're going to continue to do this to the draft and beyond the draft. So good luck with your workouts, and we'll see you in town next week.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Zach Wilson on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why, we show how.